I had to stop the time lapse. There's only so much you can watch of this old man on his hands and knees. Hey folks, welcome back. It is the big barn build. Today we've got a few different things going on. A concrete pour, we're going to get that mixed on site, and then also a few more bits on the levels and insulation. So stick around and we'll jump right in. We are almost ready. We've got a delivery over here, big delivery of loads of blocks and sand and pallets, which is overrun because it's taken a while to unload, and the delivery of concrete is also arriving, so we're hoping that they're not going to cross over. So Tom and I have just finished this end of the pool. We've put some extra insulation there. This is a 450mm, 500mm footing we're going to pour. We're just coming up, I think it's 0.7 meters, and then we'll switch to our block work. Now, of course, we've had our fair share of concrete incidents, especially with that big slab. We're using a mix on site. We only need about 2 meters for that, so we're going to use monster mix. We're going to mix it on site. Tom used them last week on another job, said it was pretty quick. So we've got the laser set up. This is at height, so we're going to end up, the distance from that laser to there will end up block work, if that makes sense. Oh, at last. Different concrete company, still an hour and a half late. So the aim to start with is to get the mini dump around. We've left it so the drainage is out. We're just going to do really gradual sort of half loads, plops to bring it up to height. Interestingly, you think I always thought that these lorries were designed really for smaller quantities or where you're unsure. They can actually carry more than the big ready-mix lorries. This one I think carries 10 or 11. A ready-mix lorry can only really carry 6 or 7, certainly our ones. So yeah, there's food for thought. And it seems to have a longer chute on the back. I wonder if right at the beginning, hindsight's great, but whether we could have got one of these in and backed up to all the corners. The problem with the ready-mix lorries that we've been getting are just like a metre chute on the back, that's it. Perfect, good shot, sir. It's a much fresher mix. You imagine the stuff in a big ready mix lorry might be knocking around in there for an hour or more. This is like, you just mixed it, I guess, so you'd have much more work time, even though we don't need it in this situation, but yeah. I can see the advantages. Not that much slower either, to be fair. Hang on. So if I need half a load there. Alright, I think we interrupted broadcasting there. That was a bit stressful. 2-hour delay, then it turned up. Bloke was a bit of a moaner, and then we had a bit of a boo-boo with the ICF, and we just did not see it coming. All these plastic webs are designed to stop the two EPS spreading apart, and obviously they're not as strong in compression, and that's what did us in. So down the bottom of this they started bending. Obviously we've only come up less than halfway. There's enough weight on that outside leaf. Our inside leaf was completely solid, the bracing worked fine, but that outside leaf was pushing in and bending some of the web, so it started narrowing it at the bottom. Structurally, it's not really an issue because there's half a metre of concrete behind it. It's even stronger than it would have been. Put a load more bracing in there just to force it back out in those places, so that is absolutely solid now. It's about, over the whole of that sort of 6 foot height, it's about 5 mil off plumb, which is a bit frustrating, but I think it's as good as we're going to get it now. And the whole top half of the pool, which is what you actually see, and all the shuttering which will be on top of this, we can get absolutely bang on. It's just a little bit frustrating that happened. Then the other update, which I didn't mention, is although we started getting our sand blinding down, we've made a bit of an error and forgot another trench. So fortunately, Dad to the rescue on Saturday, did a good graft and got this dug out by hand, even though we'd rolled and compacted it, so it was so solid. But this is not for waste water, it's actually for our fresh air inlet for our wood burner. Right, and needs to be 2.4. Somebody can't find his tape measure. I think. Oh, you clown, Timothy. Right after yesterday's concrete fun, we've managed to get a good push on this morning. We've got all the trench blocks in. We've got 3 courses of trench block to get us up to sand level, and then thermo layer. We've got a single course on the inside leaf, and then on the pool side, eventually there'll be a suspended slab cast in there, and that will sit on top of those thermo blocks, which will just give it that, make sure that's thermally broken, and there'll be insulation underneath the slab. So while we're doing that, we're getting another mix up so we can finish that run across there, and now we need to start rebuilding what we knocked out last week. It is where we knocked a little pathway so we could get through with the roller. Then we disturbed these ones here. I think these are the loose, so we're going to knock out those. One of the reasons for taking out this run along here was because we've decided now on our doors that are going to go in here, or we think we have, whichever way we go with the doors, the likelihood is that they're going to be set down so that we've got a flush threshold. Therefore, we just need, instead of having a whole block on top of this thermo course, we're going to have 2 more bricks, so 2 more commons, and that will leave us 65 mil below floor level, which means we've got the ability to pack up as much as needed to make sure that the sill is flush, or the threshold is flush with our floor. So what we'll end up having to do is, because the doors will take longer than the slab, we will end up shuttering, and I'm probably going to do it with some steel angles so it's really nice and straight, shutter the concrete up to that the finished floor height, and then we can take that away afterwards and fit our doors from the other side. I just want to avoid having lots of little bits of naff trim. welcome back. It is time for a bit of an update. We just ploughed on with it. One day soon we'll be weather tight enough that I can get the bigger cameras out and not just have loads of time lapse and behind the scenes sort of footage. But here we are. We're on a long old slog now to get this floor ready for underfloor heating. We've now finally got our insulation into the middle of the building. So we've stopped here, folded back the DPM. That bay over there just needs probably 10 minutes of sorting out. Practical point of view, we need to get to a point where we can install a significant amount of underfloor heating on Tuesday next week. It's only Friday, but it's Thursday afternoon now. So I've got basically 2, maybe 3 days or part days to get this done. So here we go. Looks like spaghetti here, I know, but this is what we're looking at, and all of this zone here. So far we've managed to get the insulation down up this end, and that is all on one manifold. So that's quite handy because we can get on and do that once the membrane's down over the top of this. A few people we were talking about whether we need to tape or not, and you're right, we shouldn't need to tape because we've got the DPM going over the top. But if we're walking around on here, there's a chance the boards might creep a little bit and open up until we've sorted out around the outside perimeter. So therefore, every now and then I'm just putting a bit of tape. But apart from that, no, we don't need to tape everything. So that's done. So at least we've got something to start on, worst case scenario. But this main zone here is what I'm really, really keen to get insulated so we can push on and get the underfloor down. Anyway, this video is less about the underfloor heating, more about insulation, and I'll share with you a few of the things that we've learned along the way. One is, don't assume PIR boards are flat and level. We had, well, there's some 100mm boards here. It's very bright in here with the foil. These 100mm boards here are for the garden room, so they don't have underfloor going on them, so they're less of a priority. These 150mm boards are the ones that are going down, and even coming straight out of the pack, off the pallet, there's a bit of a sort of cup in the boards. Therefore, you feel like you've not got your sand flat enough, but actually, it's often the boards. These ones here, we were struggling with a bit of rocking, and we did our best to sort. We soon realised that a lot of the rocking was caused by that slight cup in the board, and it nearly always cupped up with the logo. Therefore, Unilin, you've lost your brand promotion there because we've had to face them all down. So now they're slight, I mean, we're talking millimeters, slightly cut that way. That means that our joints are tight and there's nothing but a tiny bounce in them. Well, it's not even visible, but there's no rocking now. But we're getting better. So I'm not going to lie, it's probably a little bit poorer tolerance up there. There's a little bit more movement, and I might even pull out a couple of those boards to see if I can just get them a bit better. But now, I mean, Tom has got an eye for detail, and he's gone over a lot of this with a laser now. But there's still all that over there, which I need to crack on with now. So we know we're roughly right. There's a few bits over there which are about 10mm low, but it needs whacking first, because if we built it up 20, 30mm, we want to whack that before we add anything else. So providing the whacker plate wants to work, we'll get whacking. Like gorillas in the mist here. I'm afraid it's definitely autumn now. CCF have come with the other insulation, another eye-watering amount of insulation, and my my forklift is in a big muddy puddle stuck in the top barn. It just sunk. So luckily they've got a Moffat on the back of the lorry, so he's unloading that now. We're going to put some over there, but because he can come all the way around, I'm going to get him to try and drive in, as we haven't built our front door yet, and bung them right where I need them. What a great bit. I didn't think it might, I thought it might be on factory floors and yards, but it's fine. Must be 3-wheel drive. I ended up finishing this last night into the sunset. Perfect evening light, which lets you see any low spots, high spots against the level. So I know that whole bay is done. This is pretty close, but unfortunately, I've now got this pile of sand to just shave off, redistribute. That's all good, just needs a little bit tickle to finish. We're not gonna do beyond the pipes, and then I can start on, well, this is a separate zone, but we may as well try and carry on. That's worrying. Look at that. That's ice. Not what we want 2 weeks ahead of concrete and ahead of pressurising underfloor heating. Oh dear, it's getting a bit late in the day for this. I mean, I had to stop the time lapse. There's only so much you can watch of this old man on his hands and knees. It's flat. Another detail I've decided on is see that crease there? I'm sitting the creases into the kind of the side of the wall there, and then I've got something square to go off, but it also just means that I know these creases are about 300. I've got enough to come up and enough to go over. Just far easier than trying to second guess where the crease is going to be. Okay, we're getting there. We're up to the island. Joe came in, gave me a hand leveling that section, which is now kind of flagged up the fact that we really need to push on and agree something on the kitchen, just so we know where to put underfloor heating, because obviously we don't want it under the units, we don't want it under the, we don't want it under the island either. So that's where we're at. Oh, that was a nice visit. That was Duncan. Duncan is our surveyor friend, surveyor friend, who came and did the laser survey on this place the week before we bought, well, month before we bought it. So he saw this project before anyone, and he's got a laser map of every square millimetre of this building. So he was really, really keen to come and have a look, and dropped us off some honey because he's also a beekeeper and he's going to bring us some bees next year. Anyway, back to insulating. Got the plastic down. I'm now going to run them through all the way. It's just going to be better and easier to keep a straight line that way. Oh, it's getting somewhere now. Don't ask why he's got a reindeer outfit on. It's making it look quite big, isn't it? I'm glad that we're doing something different in there. It will be an insulated slab, but we're going to tile that rather than polished concrete. Otherwise it would just look too warehouse-like. There's a cut to do along there. Really annoying cut. It's only about 10 mil that needs, 100 mil that needs taking off. Again, an annoying bit of waste. Apart from that, everything's been do a run, cut it, start the next run, and we've got very, very little large bits. Obviously there's little cutouts for drains, but that's about it. We are going to run out of sand. We have run out of sand. I did use some building sand over there, because we haven't got that many bricks to lay anyway. If it's within a bulk bag, then I might just use that. I can't really do much with this little limpet on me. Have you got any questions on the build as we're kind of rumbling our way through it? Leave them down in the comments below and we'll go through. Joe will put something together and maybe we'll do a bit of a Q&A to bring you up to date to the point we're at, because there's a lot of things I'm sure I've skimmed over. Part of the decision making, the spec of insulation or heating or concrete or what we're doing. There was a little bit of confusion in the last video where it sounded like we were going to take on the whole slab ourselves. That wasn't really ever the plan. We were just going to do this patio area, which is going to be tiled. It was just because we wanted something to kind of crack on with, and it meant that once that's done, we could have almost looked at setting up our timber framing area there. But the stars have aligned in it. Our contractor is due to be here in a couple of weeks, and they'll be getting everything to a sort of power floated point. Then we'll have to be curing it for at least a month, and then we'll make a decision whether we're going to polish and then protect and cover it during the rest of the build, or just park it and come back to it in a year's time. The likelihood is it's going to be easier to do it earlier on, before all these intermediate walls go up, all these sort of partition walls. But again, I'll cover that in a video if people are interested. There's